Hey, Gabriel Blake.
Hey, Gabriel Jose.
Where are we today?
We are literally sitting in Columbus Street in San Francisco in front of Mr. Bing's cocktail lounge.
Yeah, the cocktail lounge.
Yeah.
That this used to be a pretty iconic dive bar that we used to come to.
We did, and then somebody bought it and turned it into a boring bar.
A what?
A boring bar.
You can use my term. I won't feel offended.
I don't know that other people will know it. A beige bar.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
A
fine.
characterless, bland.
Exactly. Yeah, playing it safe as possible. Trying to just, I don't know.
Sell $12 gin and tonics.
Exactly.
Yep.
They were $10.
No. We got well, don't worry.
Okay. Well, thank God. I mean, they taste like not too well, to be fair.
Yeah, they taste like, liquor, for sure.
But in any case, what did we watch today?
We watched the 1990 Scorsese classic,
Correct.
the Not the Untouchables.
Come on.
We watched Goodfellas, which, just before recording, I was telling Jose that I confused the two briefly in my mind.
I mean, I can understand it, for example, with The Godfather. You know, that is like another mob movie, you know. I mean, it's prior this one, but also it's a very well-regarded movie.
Goodfellas.
And Godfather.
And Godfather, yeah.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not the Untouchables.
No, that's also think that they're okay. It's like just an okay movie.
But it's not a Scorsese
No,
movie.
it's not.
No, I get it.
It's not. And I think that also both of them, they start with the God something.
Uh-huh.
So is that there is like more
Yeah, the
reason.
G-O.
Yeah. G-O-D. Yeah.
Yep.
So you know, I can get that. That part about the Untouchables, I think that it's like a bit, I don't know.
I kept
far-fetched.
waiting. Where's Kevin Costner? I don't get it.
Does he appear after 2 hours of movie? Because he still had 30 more minutes to go. But no, the reason why I picked this one,
Yes, tell me. Tell me why you picked this.
because I think that we have been rewatching some movies that I really like back in the day, and I was like multiple times some of them. You know, it's like this is the third or fourth time that I watched the Goodfellas, and I was curious to see, after watching so many movies and after like seeing so many good movies, how would I feel about it? You know.
So when was the last time you saw Goodfellas?
The Goodfellas probably like just like 7, 8, no, more than that. Like probably 10 years ago, before I moved here.
Before we met. Okay.
Yeah, before I moved here. Yeah.
So, I think I told you last week that I hadn't seen this movie.
Yeah.
When I rewatched it, I realized, yes, I had seen this movie at some point.
But is that you actually were not like too impressed by it, so completely forgot that you did watch it?
I don't want to comment on the quality of the film, but it's just not up my alley. That's it.
No, that's fair. So what is this movie about?
What's Ray Liotta's character's name?
Harry.
Harry. So, the story mostly follows Harry.
Mm-hmm.
Harry is a very young. He's not fully Italian, so he can't be a complete member
He's Italian Irish.
of the mafia. But as a young kid, he wants to become a mobster, and he's hired at like 11, I think, to like park the cars of mafiosos. And it essentially follows his journey as he is part of the mob, but because of his heritage, he can't be a full part. He grows up, he gets married, he has several friends within the mob. Mm-hmm. They steal a bunch of shit, they murder a bunch of people.
Yep.
And then at the end, he has to squeal. What is the word? He has to rat on them. Yes. Yep. And we just see how he goes through this life and how this affects his relationships, including with his wife and his girlfriend. They're not the same. Mm-hmm. And his
multiple wife.
Yes. He's quite the slut. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, Joe Pesci murders people, and like when you think of the quintessential mob movie, this is it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It has Robert De Niro.
Yes, and Joe Pesci.
Yep. What do you think of Ray Liotta?
I thought he was actually good in this film. I don't think he has any range whatsoever.
Yep.
But this role, he can do a reasonably good job.
I had a feeling that like I've watched this movie so many times that every single time that I watch it, I like Ray Liotta a bit less. It's like the scene. I love the scene when they are in the tiki bar, in the bamboo hut or something like that, and I love the acting from Joe Pesci. He's like, you think that I'm funny? Funny how? Funny like a clown? And Ray Liotta is like, no, I just think that you're funny, like what you're saying. But when he's laughing and he's like doing this face, like, it's just like, is there something wrong with your mouth right now? Is this how you really laugh? But he actually does that face like multiple times. And a part of me thinks, he's like, is this Ray Liotta that he's not capable of laughing as a human being? Or is this because Harry wasn't famous in real life for laughing this way, for having that face?
I don't know the answer, do you?
I don't, but it's like, I feel like just curious about it. It's like, because it's true that the acting, when he's like just serious or just handling a conversation, is good, it's charismatic. That is like what he's supposed to be. But when he's laughing, it's like, why would you do that face? Is there something going on here?
So, actually, you refer to that scene, and that's one of the ones that stood out to me in the film, both as a testament to Martin Scorsese and how he can build tension, and to Joe Pesci's acting.
Yeah.
It's very, very good, but it also highlights the reason that I don't particularly understand mob films, because you don't understand the character's motivations at all, and you don't know if Joe Pesci is going to kill Ray Liotta, which he could have, and it would have been totally made sense.
Yep.
And that's why I'm like, I don't...
Like how he kills the 13-year-old, this spider kid.
Yeah. I just don't like... Yep. When you can't understand the characters and their motivation, it just becomes lost to me.
But I think that he's a bit part of the gist of the movie, that is like he's a completely deranged human being, that he's just consumed by violence. It's a bit more like there is not going to be like logic to his actions.
But isn't that all of them?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that they try to display that Harry is not that bad, But at the same time, it's like he's still like pretty bad as a human being.
But there's a point in the film where Joe Pesci thinks he's going to be formally made a member of the mob family.
Yeah.
And he has no idea what anybody is. He thinks everyone is celebrating him, and they actually took him to murder him. And then I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Why? Why not?
Well, I mean, the problem there is like I think that the murder, that part. So I like this movie. Let me just come clean on this. I like this movie. It's the third or fourth time that I watch it. It's like I like it. But now I also think that there are some problems with it, with the pacing. I think that the first couple of acts are pretty good, and the last act is pretty good.
So which didn't you like?
So the thing is, I think that this movie, like just being 2 hours and a half, I think that it had like 5 acts. I think at the beginning, when he actually just thinking about how he got into the mafia and how his life changes, I think that it's like pretty well narrated. It has like really good pacing, the acting is good, the directing is amazing through the whole movie, but it's like I think that it's pretty fast paced in a good way, at the beginning. And while they're like a bit more like climbing up the ranks, that part is like good, like the second act. But there is like another part there when they start like just transitioning into doing like other kind of gists that I think that is not as engaging. And then the last part, when he's starting to just get like hunted down by the police, or he thinks that he's being hunted down by the police.
The helicopter?
Well, the helicopter is like, no, the helicopter was like the local news. But you were like actually tapped for a month, so don't worry. I think that part, it recovers like the same kind of more fast pace, more like just an impeding thing going on, that it got like just lost in the middle. And then suddenly it just comes back. It's like, okay, this has like this kind of engaging factor to it, that it almost feels like what Tarantino would do.
So, is one of the acts that you didn't like the Lufthansa heist, or that's when you feel like it starts?
I think that is a good start. At that point, I'm like, it's okay. The Lufthansa and their friends. It's like at that point, that's what I think that is like is the center of the movie. That is like, sure, it's fine, but it's like you can almost like just remove some of these. It almost feels like you kept it from the perspective that these were like the big iconic gist that they came into the newspapers, and why people relate to this as a real life history.
I see that, and overall, I did like this film. I thought it was well directed. I thought it was well acted. I didn't have the problem with Ray Liotta that you did. You could see the direction of Martin Scorsese. It was as good as that film about the young boy in the train station that lives in London.
Holy shit, man. Just stop that. No, you cannot even like just joke. But the thing is, like, once again, I think that Hugo is garbage, except the last 30 minutes, when it actually is about what it's supposed to be about. That is about Méliès.
Okay.
But it's like the other 2 hours is like, holy, this is bad. This is just bad.
So I read a review of this film, not fully, but they said this is up with Scorsese's films, including Taxi Driver. Do you think it's on the same level of Taxi Driver?
I like both of them. I like Taxi Driver quite a bit. Don't you?
I love Taxi Driver. It's amazing.
Yeah. But the thing that is a Taxi Driver is from what, 74, 73?
Definitely 70s. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's early 70s, and I think that also is a bit more, less direct, you know? Is a Taxi Driver is about like just a guy like going down in madness, about like, okay, I'm going to try to do the right thing, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to be like just going crazy as the rest of the city is going crazy, and then I'm going to be like just proclaimed as a hero of this city.
So I see all of these films as part of a trajectory of both Robert De Niro's career and Scorsese's,
Sure.
where they were these small, intimate stories that were insane.
Yeah.
And they kept getting bigger and bigger, and with that, both Robert De Niro's talent and Martin Scorsese's talent became more diluted.
Yeah.
So, like his movie that came out last year that was 3 hours long, everyone was
The
like,
Irishman was bad. Yeah. But the funny thing is that, did you watch Casino?
Yes.
Casino, you actually, I think that I watched the Goodfellas the first time, and then I watched immediately Casino. That is from '93, I think. Is that my parents, of course, didn't let me go to watch the Goodfellas when I was 10 years old. But I watched Dancing with Wolves back in the theater, and I fucking hated that time. And I remember, like, when I was like, wait a second, both movies actually came out in 1990. And Dancing with Wolves won the Oscar to Best Movie over the Goodfellas. Are you kidding me?
Oh, God. The Oscars, man.
Yeah. It's like, look, there are like some scenes in this movie that they are directed like perfectly. It's that I cannot see like the scene when they're like going into the Copacabana. It's like I don't think that there is any way of making that scene any better.
And I recognize that. I think in 1990 I was 6 and 7. So the opening scene of this movie where they're just driving down the road, right? And then there's noise and they can't figure out what it is, and then the man that they thought they had murdered in the trunk was still alive and they murder him.
Just think about Tarantino. Is it basically?
Yes. That's what I was thinking, is that this was, I'm sure, very shocking in 1990, and I could appreciate it for, like, in 1990, holy fuck. I think for me personally it's lost a little bit because that's very common now. But I tried very hard to recognize it as an important piece of cinema.
But it's like at the same time, it's like it's true. You can actually look into Tarantino and other directors. They have done that kind of stuff many, many times about like just hyper violent. About like, look, I'm not going to be like just like shying away from the violence. It's like I just want to make this like as absurd as possible. You know, is that that's the reason why Joe Pesci's character is like so ridiculous from the perspective that when he goes in the when he kills the maid man with Robert De Niro's character, that is the other guy like just joking with him, and it's okay, yeah, maybe you are joking, insulting a bit, but it's like it's not enough for just what you guys just do afterwards, and he actually just recreates in the violence.
And you think he did it well?
I think that he did it amazingly.
Yeah.
It's like it's just masterpiece because like you can, I don't look away from it. It's not about like I'm going to make it like so gruesome that I'm going to be like hating those characters, because even like Ray Liotta's character that is supposed to be like the reason boys, he's not looking away. He's not like trying to stop them. It's like I feel like okay, he may be a bit scared about them, but not enough for just cutting ties with them, because he is still engaged them when he started like just doing the business with Pittsburgh, with the driver. It's like he is still engaged with them. It's like yeah, you know that these guys are dangerous, that they are like pretty crazy when you are narrating the story, but you're still friends with them.
And that's what I have a hard time understanding in these films, is I don't understand why you would everyone in this movie was a shitty person, everyone.
Yep.
And I don't understand them, and I don't know why I would watch them for entertainment. And then I was like, am I being hypocritical? And like Loveless, everybody in Loveless is a piece of shit. But I love that movie. Is it
because there is a bit of more of motivation in Loveless. Is like, look, the thing is, I think there is like a, on this movie or in even The Godfather, is okay, all of them, they are terrible human beings, you know, they don't have like any kind of respect, but it's like at the same time that you don't relate to them because they don't have like share the same kind of lifestyle that you share, you know, that you have. So it's like in Loveless, it's like you actually look at the characters, that this is like a middle class Russian person. It's true, it's like I'm not Russian, but it's like some of the problems that they are dealing with, I can relate to. and they're a bit more like the normal, straight people that I know. The only thing is that they are fucking terrible.
Yeah, that's probably it. I could relate to several characters in Loveless, and I couldn't relate to a single person in this movie.
No. I mean, I could relate at the beginning maybe to the wife. I mean, not relate to her, but it's okay. I can identify her as a human being. But it's like then she actually started like just derailing into, okay, you're doing like plenty of terrible stuff too.
And she's supposed to be the good Jewish girl, and then she's like, most girls would have run when their boyfriends asked me to hide a gun, but I got turned on, and I was like,
come on, I love that dialogue. I love that dialogue.
It wasn't dialogue. It was
okay. It was like a background voice.
It was the voice of God.
Well, she
because
was doing.
This movie relied fully on voiceover narration.
Are you going to be like just bringing the bullshit from adaptation to me? That is like if you need to use background voice, it's like God save you because you're a terrible screenwriter.
Every opinion I had about this film, I've liked in other. And I want to be clear, I did like this movie, but my complaints about not relating to anybody, disliking all the characters, the heavy reliance on voiceover, because it was heavy, it never stopped.
Yeah. But look, I agree with that part with the voiceover. This time I actually was analyzing, it's like, look, the voiceover is depicting a character. You know, Harry is like coming across as a specific kind of character, and Karen is coming as another character.
Oh my God, that name.
I love it. I cannot forget it. But it's like, okay, they come as a specific character, but it's like, then what I see on the screen is different. What I see on the screen, it doesn't correlate to the specific character that is narrating this.
I can see that. That makes it interesting.
Yeah, but it's like, it almost can see like, okay, what about if this is like the kind of memories that they have of what it happened? Or what they want to portray themselves, and it's exactly what happened. It's like, no, they're like way worse human beings that they actually try to project themselves to be.
And I think we have to, just based on the movie, we have to assume that it was actual voiceovers from the future. It wasn't like somebody died and is narrating from the...
Well, but it's like, that's the reason what I think is that there may be a bit of a disconnect between, it's like, okay, this is what I think that happened, what I'm telling you that is happening, and that this is exactly what happened back then. Is that part of it is like, okay, it's properly connected, and other part is like, no, you were terrible, you know? Because sometimes he mentions about like, well, I knew that Tommy, I think that Tommy was Robert De Niro.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Robert De Niro's character is like, okay, this guy is crazy. I realized at that point that, you know, his mind was going in many different ways. He said, but you didn't do anything. You kept hanging out with him. He said, you didn't change anything about like who you were with that person.
And also, I couldn't... So when... Spoiler alert. Joe Pesci gets murdered, shot in the head.
You already said it earlier.
I know.
Yep.
But then Robert De Niro is super upset. Just, he slams the phone over and over, and I'm like, you've done this to how many people? You can't...
But that's his close friend.
Be surprised.
Yeah, but that's his close friend. And especially, you know, he shouldn't be surprised because they kill a made man. But they killed him like years earlier. That's the part that I feel is, okay, they killed Joe Pesci now, like years afterwards. But they explain it later. I think that they actually say that they found the body.
Yeah. But these are smart guys, relatively. They're like uneducated in the formal sense of the word, but he can't be so dumb. They killed my best friend? What?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this.
I was like, no.
Well, because I think that he truly believed that something like this would happen, you know, that they would make him, and that translates into making all of them. So I don't think that he's only crying for his friend, I think that he's also crying about the prospect of a life of immunity.
Okay, I see that.
I don't know, I think that is the pacing is something that this time it didn't work completely for me. The directing, I still think that this is from the directing perspective, this is a masterpiece.
Do you consider yourself a fan of mob films?
Yeah.
Name another besides Casino, not Martin Scorsese.
The Godfather.
Okay. I did like The Godfather 3.
I knew that you were going to say that, man.
No. I liked all the Godfathers, including 3. That's not a joke. I didn't think it was as bad as everyone thought it was, but I did like those.
I think that is okay. I think there is a bit more like the problem is that, look, you took like more than 10 years, and then you do this.
With your daughter.
With your daughter. You know, is that there is no reason for your daughter to be here, you know? Or Andy Garcia. It's like, just no. And I think that I told you that there was this bar that I used to go to, and the owner, had like a really good taste for cinema, and he used to joke about Sofia for Coppola into like, look, you guys, you cinema lovers, complain so much about The Godfather 3 that she quit acting and she started directing. So now you deal with it.
I mean, I'm not going to say I didn't love Lost in Translation. I won't say it. And The Virgin Suicides, but...
I will have to watch The Virgin Suicides again because it's a... Maybe we should add it to the list, yeah. Because... or is that your pick? Because when I watched it, I remember I finished watching and it actually just broke my mind from the perspective. It's like, should cinema have a message? Because this doesn't have. This doesn't have it. It was an aesthetic exercise. An aesthetic, it was okay. But in any case, we're not talking about that. It's like just digressing a lot from it. Honestly, I like this movie. I think that from an aesthetic perspective, there are like many scenes that they are directing. They're directed like perfectly. That is like if I was like a teacher, I would actually just display this from the perspective that look, this is what a perfectly directed scene is.
I can see that, and like I said, I like the movie. It's not my type of movie in general, but I was able to watch it and think, this is important in terms of the cinematic universe and history.
Do you think that it aged well? Because it's 30 years now.
Yeah, I think it aged well.
Yeah.
Because it came out in 1990, but it takes place in 1970, and it felt very... Well, It was like 1970 to 1990 almost?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it...
85, 47.
I felt like it aged very well. And it was actually... Have I mentioned this before? When Robert De Niro accepted the Oscar for the Lifetime Achievement Award, he gave this very, very nice speech, which I've always remembered, where he said, to be honest, it doesn't really matter what wins the award this year for Best Picture. The only thing that determines whether a film is worth remembering is time.
Yeah.
And in 30 years, we'll be looking like we might not remember any of these films.
Yeah.
And while this isn't my type of film, I can see that it has value. And to be honest, I didn't mind watching 2.5 hours of it at all. Like, it was entertaining. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But then it comes to our question, what are the two? Did we enjoy it? Would we recommend it?
Yes, I would recommend it. I recommend it to many people, this movie. Because I think that is like when people think about mob movies, they think about The Godfather, and they stop there. It's like, well, The Godfather is great. But they don't usually think about The Goodfellas, at least in Spain. So I recommended it to multiple people in the past. If I'm going to remember this movie, it's like, yes, of course. I mean, it's like the third or fourth time that I watch it.
Have you seen Revolver by Guy Ritchie? Because that's a very good mafia film.
I didn't watch Revolver of Rockola or Rock and Rolla. I don't remember.
Rock and Rolla? That is a good movie. It is a good movie.
Okay, I'm going to take your word for it.
Revolver is the
pick
biggest
it.
piece of shit any director has ever taken on cinema.
Is it worse than the movie that he did with Madonna?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, maybe we should pick it. No, but it's like, I like Guy
Ritchie?
No, not Guy Ritchie. Lock and Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. Mm-hmm. And I like also the remake that he did, Snatch.
Also
because it's basically the same movie, but with Brad Pitt. Yep, playing a gypsy. But I think there is something that when I was watching, it's like the beginning and the end, I just felt it's like, look, this doesn't feel like 90s cinema. This feels like nowadays cinema. Is that they had like this kind of frantic feeling to it, you know, like just speeding up like some scenes, like just trying to make you engage with you. That I feel like this is amazingly directed. Is that this has like some kind of a transcendental feeling to it. It's like maybe it's because nowadays that style is still something that will work. I don't know if 30 years in the future, if I will actually go to watch it in 2050, they probably will still be dealing with coronavirus. It's like I don't know how it will feel at that point, but right now it still feels fresh.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If Quentin Tarantino were to put out this film today, I would be like, fucking amazing.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, probably he would actually make it like even more frantic, you know, and try to make it more fast-paced as he likes.
Like, why is Martin Scorsese not showing the violence? Let's just like cut off his arms.
Well, I mean, they were like almost there. So, but no, I mean, I found it, or when they shoot a spider, you know, is that kind of bizarreness of the situation. And I'm thinking about like what you said about Network. That is okay, there is an crescendo. There is like at the end, it gets to a point that is like, okay, this has been absurd for most of the movie, but I didn't realize how absurd it was until now they crossed the line. Or is that, okay, we need to kill the guy. But in this case, it's like, it has been absurd almost from the beginning when he shoots the kid. And he's like, oh, well, he deserved it. You shouldn't have talked with me. You shouldn't have joked about that.
And then he comes back. He like heals and he comes back and then he shoots
oh,
him
you know what I mean? Like when
yeah,
he actually shoots him in the chest, you know, and he kills him.
Yeah.
It's like, and he just pretends to, okay, just keep playing. Like nothing happened.
So I did enjoy this film, I won't lie. It wasn't my favorite, but I enjoyed watching it. To be honest, this is me personally not commenting on the quality of the film. I had forgotten I had seen this movie, so obviously it's not something I'm going to recommend anybody, not because it's a bad film. And if somebody came to me and was like, hey, I want to watch a really good mobster film, and they had already seen The Godfather 1, 2, and 3, I would be like, check this out.
So you like The Godfather more?
Yeah, 100%. I haven't seen The Godfather in a long time, but I remember watching 1 and 2 and being like, this is what everyone has been talking about? Like, I get it.
Look, The Godfather is like I think that it has the same good thing as Quentin Tarantino in Pulp Fiction, about it has a script that is perfect for lasting 3 hours. It's like I can watch it, it's like I don't realize that it has been 3 hours.
And also, Marlon Brando's character is a son of a bitch that I don't like,
Yep.
but I also like understand his actions and the reason why he does things. And Joe Pesci.
No, that's true. Yeah, Joe Pesci is just crazy.
can't.
Yeah.
So I guess I just.
No, that's a good point from the perspective is like as it's based on real and a real story, is that they may not have the same kind of character development and character introspection as The Godfather did. From the perspective that's based on a book, on a 600-page book.
That's true, and I was interested actually in finding out more about Harry and Karen. Like her being the good Jewish girl that was super attracted to this dangerous man. I was like, oh, let's find out more about her. And they didn't do that. To your point, I don't think they were interested in character development. They were just like, this is some crazy shit that happened.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I feel like it works okay for it, but the problem is that there are like parts that it actually goes down a bit. And this is something that is like I didn't realize the rest of the times that I watch it. But it's like now I can connect it into, okay, you're going to be like doing a real, sort of like a movie based on real facts. Sometimes you have to just beat the bullet. It's like it's part of the story, you have to just tell it. Maybe it's not that interesting, but for example, it's like when they go to the last act, it's like actually I love the character of Karen.
Why?
Because she's a bit more engaged. She's no longer like, oh, I'm just a devastated wife. It's like, no, she's just part of the deal. It's like she's just owning it completely. You know? So it's like from that perspective, I had the feeling that maybe, I don't necessarily know how you came up with the script, because it's based on a book, The Wise Guys, I think. It's like, I don't know exactly how coherent this is with the specific characters, with who they were at any point. But it's like, it almost feels like a 180-degree turn about like she owns it completely at that point.
Yeah, I was very happy to read the title cards at the end, and they're like, Karen left him after 25 years of marriage. I was like, finally, God.
Yeah, she really put up with some shit. But the funny thing is that maybe she only left him because of the money is no longer there.
I would agree.
Yeah.
She couldn't find him sexy anymore, hiding in witness protection.
Yeah. And probably the husband was not Ray Liotta. In any case, he didn't look like Ray Liotta.
It's like 7 years into bed, when they had Brad Pitt be the sexy character. That guy looked nothing like Brad Pitt. He was a monster. 7 years into bed, did you see it?
No.
It's a true story about two guys and a woman climbing a mountain, and they get hurt on the mountain, and they have Brad Pitt being the like threatening other man. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the real life character, he was like a monster. So rating this, I honest to God haven't thought about my rating up until this point. What is yours?
Do you have to rate it first or not?
Oh yeah, you picked it. So I think this is a good film, but not memorable for me, so I would give it a 7.
A 7? Okay. For me it's going to be an 8. Because I like it. I think that it's just really well directed, but I think that there are like some pieces that they don't work as well as I remember them. You know. But it's still something that is like I enjoy. It's like if anyone tells me about like just mob movies, it's like definitely go watch The Goodfellas.
That's fair.
No. So what are we watching next?
Next week, we are watching Heart of the Golden Heart Trilogy by Lars von Trier.
God.
We're going to be watching The Idiots. I told you before we recorded you wouldn't be happy, but I'm ready. I'm ready to.
I hate you. I hate you, man.
I know you do, but this is my pick. It's a short film. It's not 2.5 hours of The Idiots.
The funny thing is, like, this week I was actually thinking about the Dogma, and I was thinking about how at the beginning they were so pretentious. Like, we are not going to title our films. We're not going to go like Dogma 1, Dogma 2, Dogma 3. And I was like, okay, Dogma 1 was Celebration, Dogma 2 was The Idiots, and Dogma 3 was Mifune.
Oh, yeah.
That you didn't watch.
Yeah.
And I was like, who actually thought about a movement for saving cinema where movies
Don't have a name.
It was like just so ridiculous. But yeah, okay, let's.
This is one of the very few true Dogma films, and I watched this in my mid-20s when I thought any experimental cinema was the best thing in the world. So now I'm 36, and I want to see if I relate to this film in the same way.
Okay, yeah,
and I'm in the
forward.
mood for real penetrative sex on screen. So.
Okay, man. You made me watch Clueless. You made me watch The Idiots to the end. Because I have to say, I only watched like 3/4 of that movie, 75%.
Clueless or The Idiots?
The Idiots. Yeah. Clueless, I watched the whole thing. But it's like, with The Idiots, I got to the orgy and I said like, no, I'm done with this.
That's when I was like, Dogma. This is the path to enlightenment. This orgy where they're pretend. Anyway, let's say this for next week.
Okay, man, that was great. Thank you so much.
Until next time,
See you,
wash your
folks.
hands.
Bye.